Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Working in PLM 4.0. Today, we revert to one of the world's fastest rising technologies, one that is pretty much de facto in the aerospace and defense world and is quickly consuming other complex manufacturing environments and is not stopping there. MBSE, model-based systems engineering, is a technology that used to support requirements, design, analysis, and validation associated with the development of complex systems. But of course, as a methodology too, it doesn't have to stop there. It can proliferate into many, many other industries. Unlike document-centric engineering, MBSE puts models at the center of system design. And today, we're welcoming to the show Anthony Mian, SME, consultant, and trainer, sitting across multiple industries, obviously very, very experienced across the A&D side of things. He spent 6.5 years in systems engineering, 3 years on MBSE, CATIA Magic, Cameo. He's a master of Johns Hopkins in systems engineering, and he's midway through his PhD, which I'm going to kind of find out more about as we go through this show. So ready, set, go. Anthony, good morning. How are you, sir?
Good morning. Hi. All good?
Good. So where are you today? Where's home?
Yes, I live in Salisbury, Maryland.
Okay. Yeah, right in the thick of things over there. Obviously, aerospace defense being very central to a lot of activities. Welcome to the show. Really appreciate you taking the time with us to explore your role a little further. So,
Thank you.
Get the show on the road. What exactly do you do first up?
All right. So I am a model-based systems engineering consultant and trainer for Dassault Systems. I am a member of the Model-Based Enterprise North America Platform Services team. And as a member of that team, my primary services include model development support, modeling practice advice and guidance to customers, and the delivery of model-based systems engineering training materials.
Got it. Great. So how did you get into it? Where did it all start from?
All right. Well, my involvement with model-based systems engineering started back in 2013 while I was still in the middle of my bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. And I had the opportunity to work on the DARPA Adaptive Vehicle Make program as part of my first internship. And through my work in that program and that exposure, I came to learn about systems engineering and model-based systems engineering and their value proposition. And since I got that exposure, I actually fell in love with systems engineering and decided to pursue a career in that field.
So why did you fall in love with it? What was it about systems engineering?
Right. So around that time, I was starting to get involved with engineering design projects, in particular the Society of Automotive Engineers Aero Design Team project back at my university. And I found that while as mechanical engineers, we had a lot of good training on the technical aspects of how to do the design, do analysis, and do the testing, our overarching development process was more driven by past experience and the things that we thought we had to do for the particular outcomes we wanted. But when I found out for the first time that there was actually a technical discipline that focused on engineering and optimizing the development process itself, I was very excited to learn more about it and bring it back and apply it to our projects.
Got it. So how did you, and when you went full time, what was that? How did that move in?
Right. So after some time, I got the opportunity to do 2 systems engineering internships. And from one of those, I became a full-time operational performance analyst on the defense industry. While I was doing that, I continued my education in model-based systems engineering through my master's in systems engineering at Johns Hopkins University, and also complementary professional education on more practical aspects of model-based systems engineering. After 3 years as an analyst, I transitioned into model-based systems engineering consultation job with more hands-on MBSE experience. And while I was doing this job, I was fortunate enough to collaborate with many experienced model-based systems engineering practitioners within the defense industry.
So just stepping back for a second, so you're in the thick of things now. What do you find most rewarding part of being an MBSE consultant?
Right. So the thing that I find very rewarding for myself, both as a consultant and a trainer, is that specific moment where I can see the users and the people who are just learning about MBSE make the connection between the problems they are facing and their particular projects that they have and their engineering needs, and the value that model-based systems engineering can actually provide to them. It's a very exciting moment to be there. You're talking about theory, and then you see when they realize this is exactly the thing I've been looking for.
So just thinking back, what would be a good example of where you've matched the MBSE solution to the problems of those engineers, of those users?
All right, so I actually have a very good story. This is a situation that actually made me very happy. So in my previous job, I was working with a very experienced engineer. This is someone who has over 15 years of experience or 20 years of experience, has been a chief engineer for missile defense programs in the past, and is someone who really is well recognized and respected in the industry, and knows a lot about the technical aspects of doing the engineering. And we were working together in a new concept development project that had been going on for about 2 years in more of a kind of like analysis phase and feasibility assessment phase. And I joined the team to start incorporating some of the model-based systems engineering practice into that project. And after working together only for probably a maximum of 4 hours across different meetings, trying to do just a little bit of model-based systems engineering for this project, and trying to bring together many of the architectural decisions that have been made and were currently being analyzed for feasibility. The thing that really got to me and made me very happy was that at one moment, while we were together discussing the model-based systems engineering, he told me that just from trying to do model-based systems engineering, he had realized that even after 2 years immersed in this problem, he actually had missed some of the assumptions that he had made about the system and the impact that those assumptions had on the architecture, just because he was so familiar with the problem. And that from thinking about model-based systems engineering, he found himself in a better position to have a technical conversation with his team than before.
Because he was able to access 2 years of knowledge and of experience of mistakes and successes all in the big model. It just gave him quicker access to intelligence, I guess, and interrogate it. Great, good example. The challenges of MBSE, there's several. What are the challenges for you?
All right. So the real world application of model-based systems engineering includes many technical challenges, but to me personally, as a consultant, one of the biggest challenges I face is guiding users through the process of tailoring the use of model-based systems engineering tools and the system and language to their particular domains, projects, and technical needs. You could say that the real challenge is in the art of combining the specific needs of the user with the capabilities of the tool, all while staying within the bounds of good model form.
Got it. So, okay, so combining those demands with good model form, what else are you seeing as a challenge?
Right. And then on the other hand, as a trainer, one of the biggest challenges I face is overcoming the preconceived notions of what the tool can and should do for new users. I find that regardless of whether they are in on the promise of model-based systems engineering or still skeptical about its value, most new users have specific expectations for what model-based systems engineering can do for them in the context of their day-to-day job. And sadly, many fail to take advantage of some of the value the tools provide while pursuing gains that are harder to achieve.
Yep. So those preconceived ideas. So what are you finding most customers underestimate or even overestimate when it comes to MBSE?
Right. So I'll answer the overestimation first. One of the things many new users overestimate about model-based systems engineering and model-based systems engineering tools is its ability to solve problems by itself for them. Model-based systems engineering tools are tools, and the methodology involved in model-based systems engineering is very powerful and useful in terms of helping users identify problems in their engineering projects and solve and avoid problems from an analytical perspective. But there's usually less underlying power than users tend to expect in terms of doing automated problem solving for them.
Yeah, it's not an AI. I get it.
Yes. And in terms of underestimation, one thing that I find is that many new users miss or fail to make the connection that there are some inherent benefits of traceability and architectural modeling that you get from model-based systems engineering, especially when the mindset is focused on some advanced capabilities that some users want to achieve, like the connection of analytical tools directly to the architecture model, or doing more complex verification and validation connected with hardware in the loop simulations, that kind of stuff. People fail to realize that before you get to that kind of capability and that kind of value, you must have gone through the modeling of an architecture, which is inherently valuable as part of your systems engineering exercise.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. So why do you feel so many customers, certainly that we come across, and I'm sure you do as well, kind of say, give me the training course and we're good to go. We got this. Why do you think that's happening?
Yes, that is a very common circumstance. And I believe that part of the reason why this happens is that there is this mindset as part of embracing model-based systems engineering and adopting model-based systems engineering, that the underlying systems engineering processes are good enough and correct enough, and they don't need to change. So many new users who are in on the promise expect to take model-based systems engineering tools and force them to adopt to their existing engineering practices. And the problem is that in reality, most existing processes would be better aligned with model-based systems engineering if they are tailored, potentially just a little bit, but in some cases, you require drastic changes to existing processes so that you can take more advantage of the underlying value that model-based systems engineering can give you.
Yeah, great. That's good. So summarize where you see an overarching best use for MBSE.
Right. So I will first say that I am not a big believer on like there being one best or correct way to use model-based systems engineering. I believe that value is driven by need, and in particular, driven by the way a particular user uses the tool to solve their problems. But in an overarching sense, one relatively quick avenue to get value out of model-based tools for an engineering project is to apply the model-based tools to early concept development and be able to document those decisions that are potentially happening in a disorganized manner or are changing very rapidly during the early concept development while you're still figuring things out about your system, documenting them in a formal way using a model-based tool where you can do change impact analysis and realize when new decisions are coming up, what is the relationship between those new decisions and the previous decisions you have made.
Yeah, makes sense. So let's just go back to those two main challenges you mentioned earlier. How do you overcome those challenges, specifically combining user demands with good model form and overcoming those preconceived notions, training, etc.
Right. So for the first part of combining the needs of the users with the tools within the bounds of model form, um, one of the things that I do personally as a consultant is to have a strong foundation on model-based systems engineering principles, principles of object orientation, and the good understanding of the syntax of SysML, so that that can serve as a foundation for problem solving, while at the same time combining that with broad exposure to different workflows, frameworks, and solutions for different kinds of problems. And that gives me context to be able to find different solutions that still work within the language for different kinds of problems. And another thing that I like to do is to include the users and stakeholders in the decision-making process for how to use the tool. It doesn't help anyone if I'm the only one who has the expertise and knows how to solve the problem. If everyone involved in the project has a better understanding of the language, they can change their mindset about the problem so that it is more consistent with model-based systems engineering. And sometimes they even come up with more innovative ideas about how to use the tool than I have been exposed to in the past, because they are more knowledgeable about their particular problems.
Yep. It's a new world. It's new frontiers. You should say no one can ever know everything. So yeah, it must be exhilarating to find these new ways of doing things. That's great. What about the training aspect?
Yeah, so when I am working as a trainer, I make sure to emphasize when the training material is referring to the specific language syntax, as opposed to common systems engineering terminology or jargon that we may use in industry. And also, I incorporate the discussion on different methods and workflows from practical applications and how the users may benefit from different approaches for different kinds of problems while I am discussing the technical aspects of SysML, the language.
Got it. Got it. You know, before the show, when we were chatting, you mentioned this term semantic dissonance. What do you mean by that, and how does that relate to MBSE?
Right. So semantic dissonance is a term I have been using to refer to that thing I was talking about just now, where the specific terms in the SysML language and within model-based systems engineering have a tendency to not match the expectations of experienced systems engineers who are used to the same words having a different meaning within the context of systems engineering. And it is one of the biggest technical challenges I face and I see other people face when trying to use model-based systems engineering, because it often results in situations where users build a model that seems or looks like or sounds like it's doing something, but in reality, they may be unaware of the underlying syntax and constraints that they are actually implementing by using certain elements of the model. And they get results that are not expected because the meaning of the word has more to do with what will actually happen under the hood when you use a particular element than what it seems to be doing for you because of the name it has.
Yeah, got it. Got it. Yeah, very true. So stepping back once again, MBSE is really out there. Everybody's talking about it. Most people are having to go there. There's a lot of young people now starting to say, how do I get involved in this whole MBSE thing? What advice would you give to someone wanting to do your job? What steps should they be taking? What should they be learning? Step one, step two, etc.
All right. So the first, potentially most important piece of advice I have is to have a growth mindset about model-based systems engineering. I think everyone who's involved in this discipline should always seek to learn more and always challenge our own assumptions about our own knowledge and the experience that we have gained from previous projects and even education. If you ever start to feel comfortable about your own level of expertise, you are probably about to see someone do something very amazing that you never even thought was possible using model-based systems engineering. The second piece of advice I have is to learn the fundamentals of the SysML syntax, the language specification, learn about principles of object orientation and how they relate to the ways the SysML language was built, and also the principles of model-based systems engineering. But also, kind of as a warning, don't focus on those foundations and principles as a strict definition of correctness, because value and correctness will come more from the particular use you give to the tool for different projects than from the expectations that were in place when the language itself was invented. And the third piece of advice I have is to develop your own workflow for building models that you are comfortable with, and also refine it often. Understand the strengths and weaknesses of your own approach and accept that they exist. It is very reasonable that one solution won't be able to solve every single problem. But then what you do after you have a workflow that you're comfortable with, you understand the rationale behind the decisions you make at a very deep technical level, then you can take that workflow and apply it to different kinds of projects, different problem domains, so you can identify opportunities to tailor your own process based on different needs.
Got it. Got it. Hey, you're midway through a PhD. Big investment of time, big investment, period. What's driving you to go down that journey?
Right. So a PhD within the field of systems engineering, sometimes you may think that it's not really going to take you further or bring you higher. It's more of an academic focus. For me personally, my reason for pursuing a PhD in systems engineering is that I am a big proponent for systems engineering being a worthy technical field. And I find that in industry, there are many situations where people consider systems engineering to be more of a management process, or a field that exclusively requires experience to be able to get into. But I have found that there is a lot of value in the academic exploration of past projects and their lessons learned and best practices that you can extract from them, and more education about the underlying tools that are part of the systems engineering field, like operations research and how you can apply that kind of mathematics to solve systems engineering problems. So I am getting a PhD in systems engineering to kind of lead by example in terms of that idea that systems engineering is a worthy technical field to explore.
I mean, I know, Anthony, you work incredibly hard. I really do, and just I could tell from your aura. But you seem to have really found your passion, and it just makes sense. You learn up as much as you possibly can about it, because what else are you going to be? I mean, if it's your passion, you got to learn. You got to get better and better. I agree. Great, good for you. Congratulations. I look forward to you getting that. What are you working on right now? What kind of project work are you doing? What kind of training?
All right. So right now, precisely this week, I am co-teaching a SysML intensive course as part of Dassault Systems for a customer. We're about to be done with that. Today is the last day of the training. And also, I am working for one customer on two different projects. One of the projects I'm working on involves developing and standardizing a model-based road mapping practice using the Unified Architecture Framework. And the other project I'm working on is a modeling task for a data processing and analysis software, which has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, you bet. Are you gonna get to stay on with that customer on those two projects and see it through, do you think?
Right. So for the road mapping project, one of the next steps after we develop the approach and deploy it with this customer we're supporting right now is to take that pilot of that method and then bring it back and standardize that approach so we can deploy it to multiple customers within our organization. And then for the other project, which is more of a hands-on modeling task, we're right about to start the transition where instead of supporting directly with the modeling for this first draft of the architecture. I will be supporting the new engineers who do more of the analysis, and they will start doing more of the modeling themselves. And I will serve more of a consultant and training partner for them in this effort.
That's great. That's great. Anthony, it's been an absolute pleasure. I feel your passion, your focus, your energy around everything. Really great. It's great to and I look forward to watching your progress with everything. Thanks for joining the show. Appreciate it. See you again soon. Thanks.
See you soon. Thank you.
Thanks. Everyone, thanks for joining us. Next week, we're going to take the passion that we've just seen from Anthony, and we're going to bring that into the CATIA world. Guy I've known for a long time. He's one of the foremost CATIA experts. I know he's been moving into digital manufacturing as well these days, as well as the 3D Experience platform. Join us same time next week. Have a great week ahead, and thanks again.